They keep looking over at me and laughing.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Well, so actually what I want to say is why it's involved. I didn't know. I shouldn't know. Well, right, but again, public health safety issue of dumpsters is not yet.
Keep looking at me and laughing.
Hey, Denise.
Well, it doesn't say which document he's very so that's why I'm which he wants to with, but it's very important.
Saving the day.
Which is why I have asked you. Nate, you can remember what's it? Please approach the bench. As a lawyer, I have like these three by the way, is it tied? This is level. Oh, really? Yeah. You do pretty good. How do I love the taste of it? My anyway, you know, being a mailman, what do I know? No, sure. That's why you're crossing back. I didn't even that's exactly right. Put this there. Yes. Michael, thank you for all this. How are you, sir? We'll see how it goes. Yep. And air sales. Yeah, according to 3216. Well, I will open up. That's fine. So very good. I'd like to
You're welcome, Anthony. I'm actually on the Wi-Fi now, so hopefully it's a better connection.
Is Tip 2 the one that covered this building? In the minutes it says Tip 2, and I knew I asked about Tip 4.
So you have that wolf. 100%. I don't know that I have. I don't know that I have the basis that I have. So, yeah. Okay, so excellent. So, no, you know, so we are speaking. Well, sure. Really good stuff. Sure. Well, and also, no, it should be online. No, you're. I formally requested one that's university. I never asked her.
Yeah.
Get a nudge up to me here. That's my dear.
How do we have this ordinance in front of your house?
Yeah, but if you get a go to. No, okay. Made an order for the vote.
Mayor Alba, Commissioner Kaminsky.
Here.
Long. Here. Jai.
Here.
All right, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reminder, please turn off your cell phone. Let's give approval of the minute.
Commissioner Kaminsky. Was the commission is that file discussed with reading.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I'd like to make a motion, please. I move that the minutes be amended to state, quote, Commissioner Shive stated that he has asked for an investigation into the release of the Rogers HR report to a member of the public, unquote. In place of the statement, quote, Commissioner Shive said he asked for an investigation as to where the document came from, unquote.
Good. For a second?
Just for clarification, Leslie, you reprinted the minutes, were the words that you quoted were printed those words that you might show up that verbatim. Okay.
May I ask what the words verbatim word that I had said? Okay. Well, okay, so we don't, in point of fact, no. But Commissioner Smalley would like to say what the official record is. No, please, this is, well, I wish to say this. Commissioner Side said he asked for an investigation as to where the document came from. That's in the official minutes. Now, it's important to realize that I am asking for specificity because the way it reads does not fit with the rest of what the minutes are. If you had a look at.
I completely understand that. I don't need clarification for that. My clarification was for the minutes written verbatim or written sort of a summary form.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit misleading because the document involved does not follow the rest of that paragraph.
I have no objection to amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner Small.
Vote.
Commissioner Kaminsky? Small? Aye. Shive?
Aye.
Buckingham? Aye. Mayor Hall?
Okay. Go to public comment. Before I open it up, though, I want to read a reminder for public comments. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. 5 minutes per person to stand and speak one time. We have a timer up there on the wall. There's no provision for anyone to give you extra time. If there's more than one to speak on the same topic, please pick a spokesman. When the council is in the middle of taking a vote, interruption to the audience will not be tolerated. So with that, I'll open it up for public comment. Is that still done? Yes, that's heard.
Yeah, it looks like it's on. Can you hear me?
Please state your name.
Yeah, Chris McKinnon.
Go ahead.
I'll just be real quick here. If you guys actually, the city recorded and also did audio and video of it, you wouldn't have had just the questions that just happened right now because you can go back to it. That might be something to think about. And then on a positive note, I'd like to thank you guys for tabling the garbage thing for now, because as we see with the strike, that us not being able to choose is a mistake. To be honest, it's a really dumb idea. I like it as a citizen being able to choose who I give my money to and not let 3 or 4 people in town decide who's going to pick up my garbage and who not. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Notes are on my phone. Okay, so the things that I'd like to bring up are related to emails that I sent to every member. Mine is maybe Mr. Eshai, that's sitting up there, and I've gotten no response on. First of all, when the P-Tax 300 form was filed, according to the LaSalle County Treasurer's Office, or Tax Assessor's Office, it was not filed as showing that there are other entities in our building, which it does have to do. It does not show that we have the nursing services. It does not show that we have the ILFMR, and it does not show that Mr. Eshai is in our building, which is a for-profit entity. The other 2 being non-for-profit entities may be tax exempt, but I'm worried that Mr. Eshai is not tax exempt in our property due to the fact that he is for-profit and a contractor through the city, not a city employee. I have let all of you know that about my concerns on that. In accordance with that, the taxes have not been paid yet. And we are accruing interest in the amount of $600.61 every month on the 10th of the month until they are paid and or deemed tax exempt. So, in a couple more days here, we'll get hit with another $600.61. If those forms are filed incorrectly and not indicating who all is in our building, properly, it could open us up for legalities. And it also could mean that that portion of the building is taxable, meaning that the money that we need to pay for interest is also taxable since the payments have not been made. I have sent all of you that. The taxes are still not paid. I begged for them to be paid before they were due. They were not. I followed up and said, hey, I noticed they weren't paid. Now we have this issue. Still no response. I followed up again and said, hey, I also noticed this with Mr. Eshai being in the building. Still no response. So I would like to know what council advises, since Mr. Hollenbeck has said that we follow council advice on those taxes being paid.
Well, and I'm happy to address that for you. So the P-Tax 300 was filed, and we don't include the nursing home services because this is not starting.
Okay,
So when we applied for the P-Tax exemption, it was for specifically the period of 2024, January 1st, 2024 until the end of 2024, December. You have to reapply for these certificates on an annual basis. Now, keep in mind, our firm didn't handle this. What we're trying to do is correct or clean up what might have gotten overlooked when this was done. So we went ahead and filed that to get this exemption started for the period of 2024 for the 365 days. So that
payable 25. And my clock's still going that you're talking, so I just like to notice that.
So that makes this complicated because you're asking for a specific answer, and I'd like to address your question while we're here. So taxes are paid in arrears. So the exemption that we filed in 2025 is for taxable year 2024. There's two installments, one in June and one in September 2024. So that's what was brought to your attention. That's what you're indicating to the council that hasn't been paid. The June installments, the 2024 taxes, and what will soon be the September or August installments.
I guess my question though was, what does council advise as far as, do you advise that those be paid or leave them unpaid?
Well, we're in the process of requesting an exemption. So that's up to the council to decide if there's two options. They can choose to pay it or they can choose not to pay it, and we can see if the exemption is approved. I'm speaking for myself, I guess, in the sense that I think the council's hopeful that the exemption is going to be approved. And that's what we're hopeful too when we applied it. It can be retroactive to the date of the city's purchase, which would have been December of 2023. So, but it's up to the council to make a decision whether they want to pay it or not pay it and go forward from that. That's the choices. So the 2024 application, the application we applied for is for 2024. There's nobody that was occupying the building in 2024. So we may have to do those things that you indicated in your email. We may have to amend the application in the future if we're granted the exemption. But again, the nursing service is still, their lease are going to start in September. So it was the lease for a portion of the year. You know, the police department was not count because of their tax exempt status. Mr. Eshai, he is appointed as the city engineer. So if we're providing him office space as a city engineer, then that would just be like your city treasurer is appointed office space. You don't indicate that the tax exempt status, that the deputy clerk or the clerk or, if the commissioner was using an office.
But they're employees.
Well, that's okay. He's still an appointed official of the city. He's acting in his capacity as the
But
city.
he's contracted, he's not a city official.
That's a term of his contract. Him having an office as a city employee, the city can allow him to have office space in his capacity as city engineer and use that city space. So, that could be a discussion topic, but, no different than in Ottawa, the city engineer has used office space in the city of the treasurer has used space. So there are, that would be the reason that's not. And again, the city hasn't occupied the building yet in 2025.
And I guess in that situation, I would just, and I see what you're saying. I guess I would just advise that for next year's taxes.
Sure.
That we be very careful about naming all the entities in our building, especially for-profit entities.
Sure. And we need to see whether the exemption is granted, has been, evaluated.
Correct, because it's not, we just keep accruing it, because it's I have to pay as well.
Sure, sure.
And then the other point that I would like to make was that, I'm wondering why when I recommend something to the council, I don't typically just come with problems. I tend to come with your potential solution. And I would like to know why nothing has been put on the agendas that I've spoken of or been voted on or not. I do understand that there's, a lot going on behind the scenes. I get it. But I'm still on this whole return the boxes thing.
I have further information.
Okay.
I did get your email. It's not that I'm not getting your email, but there's disagreement on how to communicate from the council. So, and there's only so much time under your time. But if you want to catch me after the meeting, I did review, I think you're asking about the donations, the fall, that agreement. I have an extensive amount of information.
Okay, because in the contract signed by the city, which I sent all of you, in the contract signed by the city, the IMFR and MTCO, when they own the building, it states that they should be, part of their duties are to get donations. And yes, we have QR codes, but how many people use QR codes? My mom can't. My mom's not even that old and she can't. So to me, that doesn't seem like a feasible option. When people can't even utilize that technology. So that would be, and I will.
Yeah, if you want to catch up with me, and just so the general public can kind of get a sense of what you're asking me. It's how the lease agreement with MTCO, the Illinois Freedom Motorcycle Group, and the city of Marseilles. That's a separate agreement, completely different from the purchase of the building. People are getting those things confused and they're crossing lines. There was a purchase agreement that the city entered into to purchase riverfront property. That agreement does reference this joint ownership agreement, but this joint ownership agreement is a completely separate document from the purchase agreement. That joint ownership is only as to the actual wall. The city owns the land, every piece of dirt under the wall. That was part of the purchase agreement. This joint ownership agreement, it's a little tricky because it's a three-party agreement, and that Marseilles isn't really where MTCO Development LLC is really who the third party was, along with the motorcycle group and along with the city. That entity known as the Marseilles Telephone Company, I'm not sure what the initials stand for. They're still in existence. They're still operating. They signed an agreement. The agreement is still valid, but they don't own the building anymore. And they were not ever an owner of the wall. So the public understands the ownership interest is only between the city of Marseilles and the city and the motorcycle. It's an ownership agreement as to the physical structure of the wall.
At one point they did, well, and from what I've read from previous versions, at one point they did own the land and then they gave the lease agreement to the city for 99 years for the property surrounding it. Just to clarify.
Well, there's some question about that because, they no longer owned it at the time that the purchase agreement was entered into. It was conveyed that the purchase agreement was not with MTCO. It was with a different Delaware corporation. So MTCO, and a lot of the same people are involved, so it becomes very confusing. It took me quite a while to sort some of it out, but I think it would help alleviate some of the public's concerns about this. There should really be a new joint ownership agreement that's entered into, and it would be the council's recommendation that joint ownership agreement probably not have MTCO involved in it anymore. Because when MTC was involved, it was only their acquiescence, the joint ownership between the motorcycle group and the city of Marseille. They don't have any joint interests. Again, this also becomes very problematic. The city owns the land with what I would describe as a picture. There's real property and personal property. I don't want to bore everybody with the law school explanation. But this is not part of that purchase. There, and I believe that that agreement is still valid. You had sent me a 2012 agreement, an April 12,
That is the most current signed agreement.
There is not. I have a 2020, I have a 2013, January 16th, 2013 document. So I don't know as we sit here and I'd have to check whether I haven't had a chance to read that. You show the April document. I don't know if that was a draft. It is executed, but whether the council approved that 2012 agreement, I don't know. And
I have the paperwork.
okay, but then there's an updated one that I was provided. So I had not seen the 2012 one until you shared it.
Okay, and the one that you were provided was January 16th,
2013. So like 8 months
Yeah.
later. I don't, they look.
And that was a signed copy by all parties?
Yes,
Would you be willing to do that?
sure.
Thank
And me as well, since I forwarded it?
Sure.
Thank you.
So there's a 2013 agreement. I think that's the most current agreement. It does look like it's signed, but I don't know with absolute certainty if a resolution was attached to that agreement and it was passed. But it is the latest dated document.
Okay.
They look very identical, very similar. I can't say that I haven't read it word for word. I just kind of, but the titles are different. One is called a joint ownership agreement for the memorial conflict wall. One doesn't have conflict in it.
And I just want to clarify one more time that it's signed by all three parties.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's signed by all three. It's just like your 2012, it's signed on 2 pages. You know, like MTCO is on 1 page, 2 signatures on the second page, just like on the April one that you did from 2012. Signatures are the same, but all three parties signed the agreement. I think that the 2013 agreement is the most current agreement, and I think it's still valid. All those entities still exist. But there's provisions about what each of the parties are supposed to do, and MTCO is still part of that agreement. They don't really have any reason to me to continue to be part of that joint ownership agreement. There's also some concerns I have about that joint ownership, as you referenced. There's a 99-year lease. There's no provision for what happens when the lease ends at the end of 99 years, or if one party dissolves. If the motorcycle agreement no longer exists, then it terminates the agreement. So there's, you know, and this happens. This isn't unusual. You know, practices change, things happen. So these are agreements, you know, it's over 12 years old. So it's probably due for an update. And I know the council's aware of it. Sometimes these things just take some time to sort out. And it took me a considerable amount of time to understand the difference between the purchase agreement and the ownership
And
agreement.
you're a lawyer, and that's how I am.
Yeah, so,
And just super quickly, I was not aware of this agreement when the building was purchased. I don't know if that's true.
well, the lease agreement is referenced in the purchase agreement, which would have been, I'm not sure when it became.
Yeah, page 10 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when it became a, the council would have had to approve that contract at an update. So it would have been referenced as part, at least the 2008, which also referenced 2004. So, again, there's a lot of history here. The wall is a great thing, and this community should be encouraged that we can correct these things. This happens, and we can easily work through those. I've now had some time to look at the agreement and have some suggestions. But to the question about donations, the city's position on this, based on the legal counsel's recommendation, is a donation box is attached to the real estate, not to the wall. The donation boxes were not attached to the wall, as I understand it. Is that a correct understanding? And so, you know, having donation boxes on property owned by the city is problematic because who do you allow to have a donation box? Do you
But
have-
in that regard, that means that the stamp out there that show where our name is belongs to the city and not to the Iowa owner.
That's correct. The only thing the Motorcycle Freedom Fund owns under this agreement is the wall.
Not all of the other things that they put out there to find the names and all that.
It doesn't mean that those are on city property. The city owns every piece of dirt out there. So it doesn't mean we can't address those things in a joint ownership agreement. And the city's position shouldn't be that the motorcycle group can't get donations. We should encourage that. We want that. You know, there's just a
But I also stated
about
statutes where it's been argued in higher courts that determine that you need to allow nonprofit entities to collect donations because it's the First Amendment issue.
They can't, nobody's stopping them from collecting donations. They absolutely can collect donations. It's the method by which
Okay.
they're collecting. I don't think anybody here, and I don't want to speak to this, but in some discussions I had, I don't think there's anybody on council who doesn't believe that the motorcycle freedom run and perhaps other groups should be able to collect donations for this wall. It was all done with community funds.
So
And that's
the
what
QR codes that are out there are okay for donation boxes or not?
the QR, the difference is where are the boxes located?
Right next to the QR code on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the QR codes, but if the boxes are located on city property, it becomes problematic because if there's another organization that wants to come and put a donation box out there or whatever, I want to preserve the river. I want to put a donation box on city property. And where does the city draw the line? So the easier answer is you absolutely can collect donations and it's part of the joint ownership agreement that they be allowed the Illinois Motorcycle Fund to be able to.
And if our council voted to allow that, they'd be allowed to be there, right?
Who would be the box or people?
The box.
The issue is the placement of the box on city property. If
Right,
you
so
fix
it's
the box
city.
to the wall, then
So if the city voted to allow it, it would be okay then.
the city could make that decision, absolutely.
So maybe they added onto an agenda.
You can certainly request that a commission.
I've already requested that months ago.
Add the issue to an agenda item for discussion. I don't know whether it'll pass or not, but it can certainly be addressed and discussed in an open forum if you want to allow.
Well,
Nothing that the city could make that decision and say that these organizations are going to allow it.
And I guess I'll close with that. That I asked that be allowed months ago, and here I am still asking for it to be put on an agenda and voted on. Please put it on an agenda and vote on it. Please. Let's get it done. I don't think any one of you would take that away from us and our veterans. Please, let's put it on an agenda. I hope to see it on the next one. Thank you.
You said, I'd like to add to that, like you said, this first part, you know, the lights go box, you know, also I'm going to commit. When box came out, the donation box, it's enough. No, can of worms. And I understand from the agency, City Hall, we can't even do the permits for garage sales at City Hall, right? Get the over, to do the garage sale.
I think permits and licenses are perfectly fine.
Also, they couldn't sign up to City Hall. Yeah,
We don't, what I'm asking, and I think it's not clear, we don't require a permit to be issued by the city to have a press sale. They can just do it on their own. Okay, and so what they're asking is if they can have like a fundraising box at the city hall. On behalf of a residential organization. That
There's
was
a pen paper there. You're right. Come on back. Get $5 and then make up the match. But there really isn't a profit. So, cost.
Well, but so,
Probably should not be a city-run event. So, because it's not, the city doesn't receive any.
I mean, that's what we can go down, we can figure something out.
well, yeah, no, and the thing is, I think this is extremely healthy, and it's the kind of thing that I'm looking for out of this council, frankly, is, hey, you shouldn't be collecting money on behalf of the tourism committee, well and good, let's just say so. You know, and so, and that's why there was sort of like this issue of, hey, can we do this or not? If the answer is no, well, I'm good. And, but if corporate counsel, and I think it doesn't do us any harm to talk openly, does zero harm to have this conversation. And I realize that the mayor is preseason on later, but I'm joking. I hate curves. But anyway, so take that. So anyway, though, but sincerely, Attorney Cantlin, like if we're doing this practice, then we should not be doing it. Is there any harm in your opinion legally that we discuss it and then correct? Oh, no, no, thank you. That doesn't seem to be the.
And you're not doing it incorrectly. Some might just suggest that, you know, when you have a pick and choose policy is to do what, it becomes a little bit more of a gray area. If you know, most municipalities have a prohibition against that, because they don't want to say if the Girl Scouts come in, yes. If the Boy Scouts come in, no. They don't want to have to be making those decisions. So the best blanket policy is to not allow any donation on city property. The city can certainly be encouraged to be supportive of those things, and individual commissioners and mayors can individually, separate from their role as a commissioner, they can support those organizations. But when you start picking and choosing, because there may be organizations that you don't like as well as you like other organizations. So when you do donation boxes, it becomes problematic, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and Attorney Campbell, thank you so much for that. But just in point of fact, the city has been collecting money for a tourism committee that's not a city organization. And you would say that is inappropriate.
I would say it's not best practice.
Yes. No, thank you. I agree. I just want that out loud. So that's what's opinion.
I would like to comment for what I'm still asking for on the ideal that they've been here for years. It's been allowed for years. I understand like the allowing one and not the other, et cetera, but they spent thousands putting those panels up. And they host, or we host an event for them every year for it. And they host Gold Stars. But I truly feel that because of the way that this is configured, that we can reasonably say that yes, this one should be allowed for these reasons.
Yeah, you might be able to make a distinction.
Yes.
Hey, in interest of the First Amendment, I would like to thank the council's forbearance on it.
Peter Hall, 73 years in Marseilles. Vietnam, Germany, military veteran. Served with Michael Vanderlist from Marseilles. Norman Treese from Marseilles. As of Monday, I will no longer be in Marseilles. It's kind of swan song a little bit because of my political views. Well, it's a shame. Nobody's sitting there talking about, we're talking about down here, the wall. You're sitting on a gold mine and you don't know. Nobody's talking about the fallen trees over here. I have family members on that wall. 2 months ago, they came up here. They wanted to put $1,000 in a donation box. Where's the donation? In our right here. It's I come here with my 73 years ago with my father, Ivan C. Hall, to improve education in this town and no longer have a high school. But I'm moving down with family members that are probably watching right now. Watch now. And they say, why are you disrespected in your own town? All the stuff that you went through. My dad, Ivan Hall, had me drafted and put in the military police. I've been in every conflict you want to talk about. And yeah, you can joke about me. I can take it. I can take it. But you never heard seen anything from me for 20 years, did you? Because a lot of things I've seen were cloudy. Okay? So, but I want to thank the people of Marseilles. Marseilles is a wonderful town. It's a wonderful town, got wonderful people in this town. And it's best I may think.
Good evening. I don't think I really need this microphone here. Maybe my phone. Couple things. Cell phones, by the way. Broadway Park. Have a seat.
I had to come up with this idea, having a discussion with an older gentleman. He came up with this idea. The stop signs are there, the same place Grant Street was. Well, Grant Street is now closed, all right? I think as a suggestion, let's move the stop signs to the beginning of the parks. I think that's what you have the speed bumps at right now. If you put a stop sign both sides there, people, not saying they always will, but should stop before they get to the park. And right now, we have 2 speed bumps, then you come to the crosswalk with the stop sign. Well, so you have 2 speed bumps. And then I've noticed the city of Ottawa, McKinley Road by Ball Diamond there, they've had the yellow sign in the middle of the road for years. All right, so if you put that in the middle of the crosswalk to slow people down, and that's where kids are crossing, we could get rid of the speed bumps. If we were to have to go one-way streets on toll in and all that, one of my fears is with the speed bumps, oh, it's gonna come out of winter. Well, when's winter start? All right, I remember, I think my last year's principal, we had a snowstorm October 31st. All right, most snow we have a whole year too, so I think it would improve traffic a little bit. Yes, the park's been there for 100 years. A lot of it is a public square. It's a beautiful addition. They've done a nice job with it. A lot of people are using it. It's great to see. But I think if we move the stop signs, warning sign in the crosswalk, well, traffic will flow just as well. If not, for the safety of the kids. That was my first thing. So I spoke for that gentleman. That they want to speak. I have a picture here. Great job on Riley Street last year. I grew up with that end of town. Curb and gutter looks nice. That part of the town. I have a question. So get it, God. Picture. Took it. Went by the other day. What's that? Was that a budget cut? The sidewalk has been there for 60 years. There was no curb and gutter and all that. I went by it the other day after my mom's job. I said, they never extended the sidewalk 10 feet, but the handicap ramp like on the other side. You know, I guess my only suggestion, I'm not saying cut the curb up and start all over, but we just need to do better. You know, instead of 2 eyes, maybe 4 eyes, work together. Let's make sure that doesn't happen with this year's projects. Two questions about this year's projects. I remember last fall, you guys voted on painting the lines on Rutland Street. Where are we at with that? That was like last year. And then also, we're opening up bids tonight on this year's projects. How are those streets selected? Is there a rubric? Is there a 5-year? We go here, we go here, we go here. You know, I'm just curious about how we come up with the streets that we decided to do. I'm not saying they don't need it, but how is that? Hold on.
Yeah, so, no, actually,
Hang on,
please.
we can move on. Maybe Mike, you guys can let's yeah. Or off street and behind, I think I signed up. I got a while back. Down
That's right.
Brad Miller. First of all, I'm happy to be upright. Been gone a couple months. I need to notice, but had some rough days. But I didn't think I was going to make it. But back here, and I thank everybody for the prayers and concerns. I got one question since I've been gone, and it's kind of bothered me even before. And anybody can answer this. Anybody out here, you guys want to answer it. When people do the FOIAs and they're from out of town, and it's costing me, all of you, thousands and thousands of dollars. For whatever reason that is, I don't know why somebody from outside our community would be so interested in the FOIAs. If they're that interested in government, they should be at their own township, wherever they live there. And put their energy into that. That's all I got. I'm just curious of why somebody does that. So nobody can answer, nobody can answer. I just wanted to throw it out.
Well, this is a public statement. If somebody wants to try to answer it when.
Because we need to know. It's a free country, we need answers.
Anybody else?
Freedom of information, exactly.
Did you want to speak to me?
No, he asked, he said, does anybody have anything to say? And
Not here when I read it.
he turned around and said, does anybody have anything to say? So I did. Freedom of Information Act. Asshole.
Sorry. Okay.
So this building right now is north of 3 million. Is that correct? So anyway, so my question is,
Well, first of all, let me talk about what we're paying for.
oh, good heavens.
It's your section where your streets and improvements, your department reports, you can discuss what you want to discuss.
So he's asking a question about accounts payable.
I'm going through accounts payable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So accounts of transport, Marseilles PD, $26,670. Bentag Med South Chemicals for the water treatment plant, $7,176.44. Town excavating, final pay for Broadway Park, $133,389.50. Gate GG Legal Services, $10,578.75. Marseilles Public Library, this is their replacement tax for their real estate tax to be met for this session. $26,294.35. Besides our routine bills, Nerds on Call or Fox and Facet does all our networking here and those are firewalls and threat protection. $6,300.75. Ameren, $4,982.40. $30,434.66. So anything else that you have a question on, you can talk to me after the meeting. But I mean, if you have the numbers for the building.
Well, no, so I guess I know what I would like to know, and then I'll reserve comment, but this is my question. With the 700,000 more that we have paid than we borrowed for this building, where did that money primarily come
General fund.
from? Okay, and so cash reserves.
General fund.
So, but we had cash on hand that we then used to pay them.
No, we didn't.
So then how do we pay it?
Investment.
Thank you.
I mean, we have monthly meetings if you're one. Be part of it.
No, I'm well aware.
With clarification, agency legal services, is that our.
That's your FOIA attorney.
Doing the FOIA.
That's your point.
So that was $10,578 for FOIAs last month.
Just last month.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay, clerk, read the roll.
Hi.
No.
Bi-weekly salary and payroll.
Moved by Commissioner Gerald, second by $470 for the consent be approved. And one from city safety summer.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
That's normal payroll. All kids, we got three city workers left. Hold on. But
We still have a full
a little bit of cleanup in the pool. That thing.
clerk, read the roll.
Commissioner Clemens,
Hi.
Long, aye. Judd,
Same.
Buckingham,
Aye.
Mayor Hall.
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay. Come on.
Alrighty, I'll start off with a few things. One, we are having the Marseilles Fire Department's car night on Friday, 5 to 9 p.m. They will be closing off Main Street around 3 p.m. So we are asking people to please make sure their vehicles will be closed down for the car show. So it's a really wonderful event. We really hope to see everybody come out that night and have a great time. As far as simple things with the city stuff, grass clippings, again, like to remind residents to please be mindful of where they're putting their clippings, keep people safe on the road. They're cleaned up. We also want to encourage people if they have questions regarding pool hours, those are now modified since school will be starting. Just a quick follow-up since the PD conducted this regarding Toland Street. Our police department did do a traffic study over there, and they radar enforcement between Toland, Aurora, and Peoria streets. This is the following data that was gathered from that date on August 5th. They conducted 2 hours and 43 minutes of targeted patrol on Toland Street. This is not included the normal patrols on the specific roadways conducted during officer shifts. The average speed captured during that time was 19 miles per hour. The highest speed captured was 24 miles. Officers reported that the vehicles traveling between 20 and 24 miles per hour appeared to be fast. However, this is likely due to the width of the roadway and slower speeds of other motorists. We understand there's some likelihood that motorists observe our patrol vehicles in that area and ensure them to obey speed restrictions. PD will continue to have increased visible presence on Toland Street for the foreseeable future, but just wanted everybody to have a little bit of update since that was brought up as a discussion of a potential issue as far as traffic and speeding at our last meeting. And that is signed from Chief Porter. I know there will be more follow-up with that moving forward, but just to update on with that. So in closing, I do want to take a moment to sincerely thank our incredible community for coming out to last night's National Night Out and for supporting our wonderful events. I'd like to say thank you and a great job to Michelle Gordon for all of her hard work into organizing that event. Events of that caliber are very difficult to organize. She did a wonderful job. I'd also like to thank our fire department and our ambulance service for their committed services serving our community and for the commitment of everybody who showed up to volunteer and take their time out to be there last. Big thank you to our police department for doing this event every year and for what they do every day to serve and protect our community. Watching how much they've grown and evolved over the past few years as their commissioner has been something I've truly valued, and I'm looking forward to seeing their positive growth in the years ahead. What I appreciate most is how often our officers, starting with former Chief Faber, current Chief Gordon, and all of our other officers go out of their way to express their support and to remind me that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, serving as their commissioner and advocating for them with a strong, steady voice. Their trust means a great deal, especially knowing that those who work on the front lines recognize the importance of having someone who understands and respects the challenges that they face every day. They constantly teach me that leadership means listening more than talking, showing up consistently, and focusing on the work that truly matters. It's about addressing the challenges with practical solutions and earning trust through actions, not words. I'm proud that I've earned their trust. Excuse me, from our officers who understand the difference between genuine commitment and empty noise. I take pride in knowing that our officers feel they're best served by someone who focuses on service, not the spotlight. Thank you for all of your continued support, trust, and honesty, and for making my role both meaningful and purposeful. I'm proud to work beside you, not just in title, but officers. That being said, thank you very much.
Anything else?
No.
Hey, Rashad.
So, in the water bill, there was an insert from an employee of Republic. Who put that insert into the water bill? Commissioner Buckingham, that is your department, you know?
No, I got a phone call. I paid the water bill, I paid all the bills, I over at the store. So I'm not to look at it, the very next day, there was the full thing about three numbers phone. My question is, that was reminding for know nothing about it. First, I don't think the city should get developed. That's the last. Only we should know is negotiate. And that's between customer and them. Each person, every public customer, I draw my service, no waste management. I'm paying for a service. I mean, but I don't know. What we're gonna do.
I offer on it, that there's a difference between picking sides and keeping the public informed what's going on. I get a lot of phone calls on what's going on. Are we gonna be picked up? The first they were gonna bring dumpsters, and I decided not to. So it wasn't an employee, the actual public manager brought it in and said, if it's distributed, the people know what's going on. Get involved, take inside, read in anything you want, anyone.
Well, I'm saying, I just wish, and they were next month, I just wish. Told them to inform.
Well, we put
Please
these,
be informed.
newsletters in every month. And I just put that as another newsletter.
Okay, so Mayor Howland authorized the mailing, and like, I believe that it's getting involved in a dispute to which we're not a party. You don't think that, and well and good. And so that's, now, as far as the FOIA expense, because I would like to thank Brad Miller for bringing those up. I had asked for it to be put on the agenda for us to engage legal counsel to create a redactions policy to be followed by our FOIA officers. In which case, we would save a bunch of money in legal fees related to FOIA requests. I have myself, I believe, submitted 4 FOIA requests to the city of Marseilles, in part because I had asked for information that I was not given, including the identity of the person who was speaking as the city of Marseilles on Facebook. And that was immediately perfect. I was never given that answer until I submitted a FOIA request. I also submitted a FOIA request for Facebook Live videos that it turns out we did have access to, even though it took some digging to get there. So I do want to say that though FOIA requests may seem superfluous, now that's just internal. But also, as I have tried to gain better understanding of my role as a roads commissioner, I've had streets commissioner rather. I've reached out to other entities and saying, hey, what are your MFT programs like? What are your spending breakdowns like? And it's very easy to, it can be tricky to get kind of the information you're looking for, particularly, as I mentioned, when you're kind of part-time, like walking in the door without much of an experience with it. So I found that FOIA has been the most efficient way to get to that answer. Now, it has been likened to me against my will that I have been linked with FOIA requests that I have not filed, that I have not asked to be filed. And I find that reprehensible. I've been mentioned by name on the City of Marseilles Facebook page, by name, without the right of response. I have said that that constitutes viewpoint discrimination, and I have shared with you the text of that Facebook page. Even though you're not on Facebook, you were given that information, as was the rest of the council. Additionally, 100%, I emailed it, and I will have the date for you at the next meeting, Commissioner. Beyond that, I'm also aware that a resident was called out, one resident by name, again, giving a one-sided dispute between the city and that resident without her ability to provide the right of rebuttal. Further, the City of Marseilles Facebook page was shut down December 22nd after a resident was doxxed. I do believe that these behaviors are unacceptable. All right. As far as personal attacks related to one's Christian activity, Mayor Hollenbeck, you called it question my own on a Facebook page called Marseilles Mayor Jim Hollenbeck, and then shared by the city of Marseilles, Illinois. Why is it that you should have the right to question another commissioner's Christian profession, but a resident should not have the right to question your own? It seems to me that there are rules for thee, but not for me. I would also like to mention that we do not have presently handicap spots, and we really ought to. I understand that we have the lines, and there is a plan to have them, but I would like to encourage very quick activity, especially given that it's a public meeting, and we do not have handicap spots close to the door. Yes, sir.
Sure. And I think in front,
It's not enough.
I realize everybody wants everything done immediately. But in front, we should have signs that says city business and parking with development. People run in, pay the water, but we shouldn't have to park way up there. Parking. All right.
I'm sorry to I'm sorry. There's two.
How would you even get to them?
Well, I don't, well, no, with all due respect, sir,
Wait, hold on, I just had a quick question, Mr. Shive. Have you reached out to your department head to inquire about the painting those handicap spots and when the time frame for completion of that budget?
I did. I spoke to an employee, he said in a couple of days, and it's not yet been done. However, my concern is it being public property.
Oh,
I wanted to let the disabled resident know that I was being proactive,
oh, no,
as I concerned that there was an ADA potential issue, that we're a public meeting.
I get that. I just wanted to make sure that we confirmed that it was addressed with your department head. It's not just an issue that's being talked about without sort of plan.
I know.
Clarification. Thank you.
Drop boxes, working, installed the day up, summer, I apologize, not getting everything done, working up for you.
Oh, no, this is, again, quite the contrary. I am simply being transparent about an issue, kind of like the one way I'm told. Hey, here's a concern. Hey, let's talk about it. Didn't have much of an interest in the one way I'm told. The police department didn't seem to think it was necessary, and well and good. We had an issue, addressed it, spoke openly, moving on. Right now we have, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Small and the police department for doing the speed checks on Poland. Apparently, there appears to be cars moving faster than perhaps they are. Perhaps we can then address the speed limit with IDOT moving forward. I have now had the opportunity to speak with Chief Gordon about his recommendations regarding the speed, and it's very helpful. The fact of the matter is that we should not be suing people for disagreements and for speaking openly. This is what democracy is, guys. Democracy is us sharing ideas and saying, here's the problem. Including against the city itself. Shame on them. Now, as far as ordinance 3216, I believe that the ordinance would seem to indicate that. No, you know what? With all due respect, I believe that this council is acting in an unacceptable manner, and so I'm saying so.
Have for 2 years.
Yeah, well, it hasn't changed. So it is my belief that under ordinance 3216, these bids should be unsealed and read by the city clerk. I would like clarification from corporate counsel that that is the most direct reading of that ordinance.
Well, you're saying 3216. It's 3616. So I wanted to make sure you and I are on the same page. But I'm just looking at this tonight. I haven't looked at what 32 is. I scroll up to that. But do you agree with the look at?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so 3616 references to be drawn. So that is not 3615 is the opening and reading of bid. That's the one that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so under that section, and I'll just read it. All proposals or bids shall be opened and read by the city clerk the next meeting of the city council after the time mentioned in such advertisement. In the presence of such bidders, other persons as may it, and the council shall thereupon request all bids or let contract that work for lowest. So typically, the clerk would handle the responsibility. It looks like you've done. The best practice is to come to the city clerk and ensure that they're received. I'm not sure if I said in the publication, but if they would do by 4 o'clock on a particular day, the clerk can stamp it. And then I would let the clerk open those envelopes, read the bid out loud.
Okay, so I'm asking for that to be done at this time.
Okay.
Normally, we do the bid during the day, contractors can be there, that's the first time in the time that I've been on council, we did this at council meeting.
It's what I'm doing, forgive me, this is my time, it's what I'm doing in accordance with our ordinance.
It is.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, yes, thank you very much.
It's the best practice.
Thank you.
I would bring an opener there. So I don't want to be.
Oh, yeah, that would be all over.
first bid got at 8:25 a.m. today. Universal. Sorry.
Bid bond. Except for bid bond. Number of certifications that go off too. Bid bond. So. Oh. Certification training program. Yeah. Then. Everything is availability. Check.
137,224.44.
I'll go. Now this is for what?
Street front.
All of them?
Street resurfacing, sir.
Because Lincoln Street becomes something. So
Yeah,
that doesn't
that's what-
include Lincoln Street.
It's a street resurfacing.
Bid bond. Bid bond there, 20%. Bring us to the where the. All work.
Mm,
This is advanced.
Yes.
This is $142,082 each. We got this day at 11:08 a.m. Final one is from deconstruction. We got at 5:01 p.m.
More. You get them on the goals.
Does the use. Training program. Okay, but no building. These are all requirements. That these guys did. This can't- Also, first of all, I have to be pre-qualified by the state of Illinois. So you can get proposals. Construction.
All right, D is at 174,751.40.
Must have enough work.
Same thing, eliminate. Unit price contract. When unit prices go. So what has to happen is, those have to be taken and analyzed. Make sure their extensions are correct. In other words, if there's 20 foot of curb and they bid $10 a foot, it should be $200. They put down 250, you got it correct. That's why the sheet says, as read, as corrected. Then these have to go to state for approval. Typically, what we do is we have these tabulation sheets. We tabulate the bid so everybody can see what's there.
Sorry, it's my metal one. I have-
So,
Yeah, your pacemaker?
so, it may seem like this was tedious, but I believe it's best practices to follow the ordinances whenever possible. And in this case, it was. Like, thank Engineer Etchai and Clerk Hart for, probably that, and also Attorney Kaplan for correcting me on a number of ones. Anyway, thank you all very much. Once again, let's speak openly. Hey, we disagree. It's okay.
I suggest in the future, we can do that. Doing the public meeting now, you can't do anything for 2 weeks. You gotta bring it back to the next month. Typically, when you do that in the week before, you get the bids, they're open publicly, anybody can come if they want to.
they're read, they're analyzed, make sure they're correct. But this meeting, can approve it. It's on.
Yeah, no, and Mike, I really appreciate that. My concern is that we follow our ordinances. And the closest reading of our ordinances was to do it as we do, and I think that's worth waiting 6 weeks. But I do appreciate that.
Anything else?
We really shouldn't have a freedom wall if we don't believe in freedom. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of a big one. Right now, we're $8,675 a hole. What's that?
I didn't hear you.
$8,675 a hole, which isn't bad compared to,
No.
we're gonna keep the pool going through Labor Day. Take off weekends. And then try.
Now we got more out with her.
So I mean, I can't complain about that. Number two, Melissa, big department, did a hell of a job. May take long, but good turnout. Appreciate everything you guys did. Police department, good way down there. Number three, this is something that's really been bugging me for a long time. It brought up at the last, not the last meeting, but the last thing to go city hall. I'd like to see, and I'm not gonna get in the middle of it. I'd like to see a lawsuit. Mr. Craig, or Mr. Hoff.
And so the city speaks to all.
All I'm saying is the dollar amount. This is cost taxpayers in town. Let's go. Everybody take everything to go away. The state the taxpayers is not money. And you do, guys.
You and I discussed that the other day. What did I tell you?
I don't.
When that happens, come and talk to me again.
It's just gonna cost.
Harassment happens.
No, I agree. I'm not arguing it.
Okay, so you are talking, so in point of fact, you are talking about a lawsuit, you said not to talk about, are we talking about it at City Hall?
I didn't bring it up.
No, you said, you said, you said harassment. No, sir, are we allowed to talk about this or not? It's all good. Okay, I don't think a chief executive should be suing his city,
So the Broadway parking.
We have a second. Now, before we vote on this, we still have the handicap swing and the rest of the game. Technically, the fine thing. But it's-
This is the final of the spending to.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, because when we pay that bill again, somebody's gonna say you did the final payment the last time. But we had change orders, we're getting a bathroom facility, so the kids can change clothes in that there, and parents don't have to use porta potties. And we're getting a handicap swing for a child that's in a wheelchair, and that's gonna have foam all around it, so it's really gonna be nice. Those bills will still be coming.
just a point of fact, I guess it's in order, can we strike the word final from the agenda, or is it too late to do it?
You need to do that to DNR. If you throw this other part on there, use them, you're gonna wait a long time.
Okay,
Yeah, this is.
So, you understand, in front of everybody, you're gonna pay for what we originally contracted.
We don't have the words on there for what we originally contracted and pending, X payments for restructure of.
But you don't.
business. I know, that's what I was wondering if you could.
so I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, no, so I do suppose that maybe the way to ameliorate that is just in the minutes to say that council recognizes this is not truly the final payment based on the change order. That would be more transparent and not change the agenda.
Well, I think Rachel knows how to do it.
All due respect. I know.
Okay.
Get a motion.
Do I have a second? Okay. Clerk, read the roll.
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Aye.
No.
Aye.
Mayor Rowe?
Aye. I Talk about the car show, unless we've already covered that. It's a very nice time. About the car show, well, Jeff started it, what, 20 years ago, Jeff? So
Year 20, yeah.
Jeff and I are starting members of that, and it is pretty good. So please come out and support the fire department. And, excellent night out. Very good time. Very good time. I remember how much time I could stay there because I had another people that I needed to be to up from our way. So seems like every day all I do is run. So number one.
Mayor, I'll read the ordinance 18 and an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for 390 Street.
Do I have a second? This was recommended by the planning commission, or the gentleman down there that's doing some remodeling on his house, and he's got a little container out there temporarily, pools and that stuff in. Grant his variance, I believe it's for a year, and then that's what hopefully it'll be done. We really don't like no pain sitting on top when you're doing the construction of the spot. Excuse me, start to read, Paul.
Commissioner Kaminsky.
Aye.
Paul. Aye. Shy.
Aye.
Buckingham.
Aye.
Mayor Hall.
Aye. The engineer, you got anything else?
First of all, the bids and go high, universal flow, second advance, and finally the deed. So those will be analyzed in the next council meeting. If you'd like to know, they aren't overly estimated.
What isn't anymore? What isn't anymore?
Well,
What's the estimate? What's the estimate?
126, 484, so you're about 12,000 over. You're about 10% over, so I'll have to get justification to the state. to be able to award it. Unless you want to go and rebid it. I don't think you're doing that. As far as these contractors go, this is fine. Okay, the next thing is brought on Second and Ryan Street, Second and Ryan. Sidewalk. Yes, the sidewalk could have gone all the way to the end. Again, this was done at the state power. Motor fuel tax power. The sidewalk originally did not come through the edge of the road. You don't have to extend it. On top of it, there's no sidewalk on the other side. Look good, go ahead and finish it. The important thing is, once you bring a person down here, down the handicap ramp, you don't put them in the street. So that's one of the things that I got. So that's my explanation for that. We didn't do it. Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't do it because I got to review this. So this year, next year, things stop this.
Nothing's not up to what I'm doing.
We wouldn't have to deal with it now.
And I think we have to think on this contract, the sidewalk, and have to come in on this contract, if we would use those unit prices we already have. So,
There just have to be something other than MFT, so we wouldn't have to get state permission. Yeah. Yeah, which was, I mean, the point I made a year ago is that we have other sources besides MFT to do roads and sidewalks and what. Yeah. Well, that wasn't the understanding, you know. Well, no, your understanding, I think fine. Thank you, Michael. Keep going.
my final one is to follow up on Broadway. I agree that in the process, there should be big yellow stand up crossing. You see that? In the school, you see that out of high school, first well. I'll tell you what, the other day I was down there, looked at it, somebody passed me right over the speed bumps. So I don't see what they do with it. Let's take the stop signs, move them up, both, you know, where they were, and put the sign in the middle there. That's my recommendation.
So I've seen these, normally people take them out, put them away at night. It's just those.
Oh, that's why it's blocked out.
Oh,
Okay, now, that's
so, yeah, we can mount something in there.
in the pavement.
A lot of them I see are like they can buy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So,
Leave that up to the commissioner to decide what they want.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we had too many close calls. for me to want to remove, I mean, I understand the argument about like the speed bumps being perhaps improperly placed, maybe we move the stop signs to beginning end of the park and see how that ameliorates the situation. But I've had too many parents come to me and said, someone drove right by, almost hit my kid, and it flipped me off when I talked to them. So I do think that was, and that happened. So again, to what extent we want to then reconsider that, I'm definitely willing to talk to the police department about, maybe we tried moving the stop and see what happens with them. But I am reticent to want to remove those speed bumps ahead of the window at this time, just because of the close calls. And again, I'm out there. With all due respect to the rest of the people at the stable, I actually walk Broadway Park. Every day someone came to me and said people are tearing through here.
We probably have to talk to the trainer. I'm not sure what plans are for winterizing the flash pad.
Yeah.
So we can take the speed bumps out and we winterize.
The state regulations, you have to have a warning sign, speed bumps are in. The state regulation.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Ready to adjourn?
Okay.
Cool. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Everybody roll. Aye.
Yes, hello.
I found you.
Well, I mean, that kind of works out for me, right? Very back.
Fine, leave me. That's a fine, leave me. I'm just kidding.
We don't want to go. Okay, that's fine.
All right, guys. Live is still a work in progress. We'll get there. Have a good night.
Jeff, thank you for the whole.